Welcome back, friends, to another practice with Sean. This is Living Peace Yoga. We have just started a brand new year, and I'm so excited to share this practice with you this evening. More importantly, I'm so glad that you've given yourself permission to give yourself some self-care. So, without further ado, roll out your mat, get into something comfy, grab a block. You will need a block for tonight's practice, and we're going to jump in and do some yoga. Swing those legs around, place your feet flat to the mat. We're gonna roll onto our backs. Extending the legs out long. Letting those feet fall in a neutral position. Tucking the shoulders down and back. We're gonna start in a Shavasana tonight. I know that may sound odd, but our last class we talked about the power of rest, and I don't think we allow ourselves enough of that power to rest. So I'm just feeling that tonight we'll start with a little rest. Setting our intention for this evening comes out of Colossians 4:2. Devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. Friends, so many times I've made decisions in my life without first seeking the one who made me. And it usually doesn't end up going too well, to say the least. But when I include him and I follow the path that has been set before me, it definitely is a much smoother ride. When you're ready, very slowly come back to a seated position, hands at heart center. Shoulders down and back, rocking back onto those sits bones. Coming to the breath. Tonight we're going to work through sun salutation. Maybe you're new to yoga, maybe you've never done yoga before, maybe you've only been doing it a couple of months, maybe you've been doing it for 25 years. But in this video, I'm just going to go over SON, sun salutation, and what a Vinyasa Flow is, and how the breath work works through it. So that as we continue our practice together and our journey down the yoga road, you'll become more familiar with Vinyasa Flow, working through our flows together. So when you're ready, we're going to warm up the spine. So come to all fours. Curling those toes. Actually uncurling those toes. Wrists under elbows, elbows under shoulders. Let that belly drop down towards the mat, lifting up the head, lifting the hips high towards the heavens. As you inhale, as you exhale, press the shoulders back towards the heavens. And then we're just gonna flow through that. It's not the end of that word tonight. Flow through that. Letting that belly drop down as the hips and head come up. Exhale as you press back. Good. Come back to neutral. We're going to place our right hand in the middle of the mat. Take that left hand and extend it up high towards the heavens. Good. Take that hand, thread it underneath the right, coming down onto that left cheek. Or thread the needle. Working the shoulders, warming them up. Feeling that nice stretch of the left shoulder. Good. Bring your head up off the mat. Bring your left hand back to meet the right. Place your left hand in the middle of the mat. Bring that right hand up to the heavens. Reach and then thread that right arm under the left. Bringing the right cheek down to the mat. Good, and come back up to center. We're gonna extend that right leg back, pressing those right toes into the mat and pressing the heel towards the bottom of the mat or down towards the mat. We're gonna take our left fingertips and place them up in the left corner of the mat. Feeling that line of energy from the tips of the left fingers to the tips of the right toes. Bringing or knitting that abdomen together, pulling the belly button towards the back. Good. Come back to center. We're going to do that on the opposite side. So press that left foot into the mat. Press that heel down towards the mat. Bring those right fingertips up to the right corner of the mat. Good. Feeling that long line of energy. Knitting those ribs in. Cinching the abdomen towards the back. Like a corset is wrapped around our abdomen and pulling that in towards the back. Good. And come back up to center. We're going to curl those toes. We're going to bend back into our first downward facing dog. So pedal out those feet. Making grace and space where sometimes there just doesn't seem to be any, but there always is a little more, especially when we rely on Him for the answers. Press those hips back towards the wall behind you. We're gonna run through our Vinyasa Flow now. So we're gonna look to the top of the mat. We're gonna walk ourselves up to the top, and we're gonna forward fold it out. Letting that upper body fall over the lower body, becoming heavy towards the earth. Good. Take a big deep breath in, arms up overhead. Bring those hands together as you inhale. As you exhale, forward fold it out, bringing the hands to the mat. Good. Take an inhale in. Come to a half back or half standing, half lift. Bring those hands to the shins. We're gonna exhale and forward fold it out. Good. Big deep breath in, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold it out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. So that's the first half of the flow. Second half is that as we exhale, we're gonna move our feet back into a plank pose. Keeping that bum in line with the knees and the hips. And then we're gonna come down into a chaturanga push-up. So a chaturanga push-up is just coming down and then lifting up into an upward facing dog, uncurling the toes, and then curling the toes back into a downward facing dog. Good. Press those hips back. Come up onto those toes. We're gonna tiptoe our way to the top of the mat. We're gonna run through that Vinyasa Flow or Sun Salutation A one more time. Forward fold over both legs. Big deep breath in, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold it out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold it out. Hands to the mat. Taking a nice inhale as we move through. Back to plank, extending both legs. Coming down into that chaturanga push-up and up dog. Good. Pressing back into downward facing dog. Moving our bodies, creating space. Look to the top of the mat. Walk our way up. Forward fold it out. Big deep breath in, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold it out. Hands to the mat. We're gonna inhale and halfway lift that flat back. Exhale, forward fold it out. Good. Both hands to the mat. We're gonna extend back into a plank. Good. We're gonna come down into a chaturanga push-up. If this is not within your practice, or you're not quite to a chaturanga push-up yet, I wasn't when I first started either, place those knees down, uncurl the toes, come down into a push-up, and push yourself up into an upward dog. See? It can be done. Modifications are there for a purpose. Curl those toes, come back to a downward facing dog. Good, place those knees down. Take the bum to the heels. Extend those arms out. Into a child's pose. back to all fours. We're gonna curl those toes into downward facing dog. One more time. Good. Now that we're warmed up, we're gonna run through a sun salutation A one more time. We're gonna do a little less prompting and a little more asana, which is movement. So walk those feet up to the top of the mat. Exhale, forward fold it out. Inhale, take a big inhale in as we place our hands together at the top. Exhale, forward fold it out. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold it out, hands to the mat. Back to a plank pose. I'll do the modification with you if that's helpful, but knees to the mat, uncurl the toes, coming down into that push-up and up dog. Curl those toes, back to downward facing dog. Good, look to the top of the mat. Walk our way up, forward fold it out. Letting that top half of the body fall forward and over the second half. Good, big deep breath in, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold it out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, hands to the mat. Extending those feet out. Good, knees coming to the mat. Uncurl the toes, coming down into that push-up, back to up dog. And then curl those toes and meeting back in downward facing dog. Good, bring those knees to the mat. Bring the bum to the mat. We're gonna extend our legs out long. So we're gonna move through a cool down and then an extended Shavasana tonight, just because I feel like it's warranted. It's been a holiday season filled with busyness, even if it hasn't been, still important to take some self-care tonight. So with that being said, that was our sun salutation A. This will be something that you can practice to move along further in our yoga practice together, sun salutation A or a Vinyasa Flow. So go ahead and take a big deep breath in, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold over both of those legs, allowing some grace. Take a small inhale, and as you exhale, forward fold, deeper into the fold. Good, bring those hands back up to center. We're gonna place those legs in a V formation. Turn those hips towards the right leg, forward fold, over that right leg. Dropping those shoulders down, still coming to the breath. The inhale and exhale. Good, and come back up to center. We're gonna turn towards the left, forward fold it out on the left side. Good, and come back up to center. We're gonna come back to all fours. We're gonna do one more pose before we move into our extended Shavasana, and this is where your block will come in handy. We're gonna move into Hero's pose. So if you're familiar with Heroes, you can work your way there. Otherwise, of course, I will describe how to get into it. So we're gonna lift our bum up. We're gonna place our block right where the real estate hits. You might even need to move some real estate out of the way. rotate those ankles out so that the feet are flat to the mat, or you can leave them tucked in. I like leaving them tucked in. If you need the block, this is a great place to stay for Hero's Pose. Otherwise, you can rotate those shins out to the side, or the calves I should say, and come all the way down to the mat. So you don't necessarily need a block, but it is nice to bring the floor closer to you. So we will sit here for just a moment, breathing in this pose. It does release a lot of tension. So two more deep breaths here. If you're on the block, you can come up off of the block, or if you're not on the block and you just like to come back up to simple seated, we can do so. Place those feet flat to the mat. Take your bum, scooch it towards the feet. Curl those legs in. Bring those knees to the chest. Good. Take the two first fingers, 1 and 2, wrap them around the big toes, and we're just gonna rotate those feet around in a little happy baby, rotating those hips from side to side, giving that low back a little massage. Good. Feels so yummy after a nice practice. One more time, bring those knees in. Good. We're gonna place our feet to the mat. Let those feet anchor out to the outer edge of the mat. Let those knees fall into each other. We're gonna tuck those shoulders down and under. I like to bring my hands to my low abdomen, but you can place them at your sides. Maybe one hand on your heart, one hand on your abdomen, whatever feels the most comfortable for you. Shavasana is about resting the body and the mind. And then coming back to the breath, the simple breath. Inhale and exhale. Morning by Dr. Charles Spurgeon. He says to devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful, as it says in Colossians 4:2. It is interesting to note how much of Scripture is concerned with the subject of prayer, in furnishing examples, enforcing precepts, or pronouncing promises. We can be sure that whatever God has Made prominent in His Word, He wants to be conspicuous in our lives. A prayerless soul is a Christless soul. Prayer is the lip sync of the believing infant, the shout of the fighting believer, the requiem of the dying saint falling asleep in Jesus. It is the breath, the watchword, the comfort, the strength, and the honor of a Christian. If you are God's child, you will seek your Father's face and live in your Father's love. The motto for this year must be, devote yourselves to prayer. I like how he says that. And friends, if you like the content of tonight's video, then please hit the subscribe button. Also, the thumbs up whenever you watch a video. It is greatly appreciated, and I am able to bring you more content. Thank you so much, friends. It was such a pleasure and a blessing to practice with you this evening.